Good afternoon. I'm Kari Puleo, your host of the Excuse me, it's been a very long day. Your host of the Leveling Up podcast, the Executive Director of the Greater Utica Chamber of Commerce. I am here today at the Disruption Network studios to talk all things business going on in the Greater Utica area, what's happening with our members, and then talk to our guest for today. So I want to start off talking about what's going on this weekend. It's a beautiful weekend out. Now that things are starting to open up, there's events all over the city. If you can't find something to do this weekend, you don't have enough interest going on. So I want to talk about what's happening with our members. First off, tomorrow, we hope you'll join us at our ribbon cutting at Bag Square Brewery tomorrow at noon. They will be celebrating their 1-year anniversary, and they are kicking it off with a block party this weekend. They will have on Saturday Tom Nitty playing and Last Left. It's a family-friendly event. They're going to have bounce houses. They're going to have face painting. They're going to have all sorts of raffles and special brews. So we hope you make it over there. Join us for the ribbon cutting. If you stay for lunch, they're going to buy you a beer so you can check out something new if you haven't been there, or if you're a frequent customer, check out a different draft. So join us tomorrow for that. Also, if you are into brews, it's a big weekend for you because Woodland Brewery is celebrating their 5-year anniversary. They're going to have live music all weekend. On Friday, they're going to have Uncle Charlie and the Meatballs. Saturday, Our Common Roots. And Sunday, Tri-County Mill at 2 o'clock. So lots of things going on there. Innovative Collective is also having a spring summit. So if you're not into drinking this weekend and you want to expand your educational horizons, they're into entrepreneurship, storytelling, and mentoring. They have a lot of great speakers. They've prepared for this event all year, and so they still have spots to register for that event. So join them if you're looking to expand some educational opportunities for yourself. Also on that front, MVCC has an event tomorrow from 9 to 11. They have a speaker. The event's called Lead with Joy and Watch Your Team Fly. So if you are in a leadership role at an organization, it's been a really challenging year for everybody. Maybe you're having a hard time motivating your employees. Maybe you've had some people retire and you have new people in leadership roles and they need a little bit of mentoring and training. MVCC is hosting a wonderful event that's virtual, so you can still get in on registration tomorrow for that. You can visit their website for more details. As you can see, I'm going through all sorts of pages here because there's lots going on. And then Sunday, the Refugee Center is kicking off World Refugee Day with a great event. It's called A Walk in Their Words. It's going to be hosted at the Parkway in Utica. They're going to have the Chobani truck there. They're doing a walk and a run. And there's a $30 minimum donation, and you're going to listen to all sorts of different stories of refugees. So it's athletic, it's educational, it's entertaining, a lot going on with that event. They're celebrating their 40th anniversary this year of the Refugee Center, so that's a great event to take part in. So just a couple of things to throw out there for you, things to do up and coming. Now I'd like to introduce my guest, Briana Moriarty from Estate Planning Law Center, who is here with us today to not talk about death and dying, but to talk about planning and what you need to do to invest in your future. So before I officially turn it over to Briana, I kind of want to start out with a little personal note. My son is graduating from Notre Dame tomorrow, and he is 18 and heading off to college. He will be going to Hartwick. So on that note, what do I need to do to plan as my son goes off to college?
Yeah, so we're at the season where, college graduations have just happened, high school graduations, and anyone that goes off to college at 18 years old, at minimum, needs a healthcare proxy and a power of attorney. A healthcare proxy is a legal document that grants someone the authority to make medical and healthcare decisions, and then a power of attorney appoints someone to make your legal and financial decisions. Some people say, well, they're 18, they're off at college. Well, because they're illegally on their own. And that
he's not an adult yet by any means, and so he's still my little boy.
And as many parents that I've worked with over the years that come into our office to meet with our attorneys, is yes, they're still your little boy, your little girl, and yet they're off on their own. They're going to pave their way, and whether they stay local or they go away to college, in order for you as a mom to sleep well at night, to make sure that they have those documents in place so that if something should happen, you're notified, and then you can also make decisions if they are unable to make their own decisions.
Yeah, this is something that I hadn't even thought of. You're planning for things like financial aid and how do I pay for this?
Exactly.
Not happens in case of an emergency. So you plan for things now when everything's good, so that just in case something happens.
Exactly, and we never know. So I tell people all the time, if I had a crystal ball that I could tell you what my future was going to look like, I'd probably play the lotto numbers. And estate planning is just that. It's planning for the future. As soon as someone turns 18, like I said, healthcare proxy, power of attorney, and then estate planning is something that grows with someone. So yeah, at 18 years old, you only need those 2 documents. But as you head into your, I'm in my, I like to say early to mid 30s, and it's now time, when I buy a house and when I start having assets of my own, it's now time to start thinking, okay, do I need a will? Like what happens? None of us know when our number's up. So estate planning is something that can grow with you as you get older. Healthcare proxy, power of attorney, moving into a will, and then as you get older and you're looking to more asset protection, that's where the revocable and the irrevocable trusts come into play.
Yeah, so speaking of, you just mentioned age brackets, I myself don't have a will yet. I have 1 child, so I just assume everything goes to him. In my retirement planning, of course, I've, signed off all of those documents that he inherits everything. But why do I need a will if I own property, I have, investments, but I've already documented that that's going to my child?
Yeah, so beneficiary designations are what happens on retirement plans and things like that. So if something happens to you, it goes to that person that's beneficiary designated. In terms of a will, though, a will just doesn't take into account that you have a son. It takes into account any of your living heirs. And so we host weekly workshops, and one of the questions I ask in the workshop is, raise your hand if you have heirs. And no matter how many times I do it, they always everyone in the room raises their hand. And I say, okay, take your 2 fingers and place them on your wrist. Do you feel a pumping sensation? If you do, you don't have heirs. None of us have heirs while we're alive. You only have heirs after you die. And heirs can be defined as anyone legally blood related to you. So it could be parents, it could be siblings, it could be nieces or nephews. So yes, while you have set out that you want your son to get everything, until you put it in a legally binding document, like a last will and testament that goes into effect after you pass away, it outlines who you want to get your stuff, who gets your stuff, who's in charge of carrying out your after death administration, meaning, okay, who's picking up the ball and carrying it the rest of the way down the field because you're gone. Yeah. And that's where the will comes into play.
Yeah. So, if you do have, just say you're starting out in your career, you're young, and you only have minimal amounts of assets, you don't really think that you need a lawyer. What are, some easy ways to start to kind of get into this process?
So this is what is fun and interesting about the Estate Planning Law Center, is that we're constantly innovating different ways on how we can get estate planning to everyone. I tell people all the time, I would scream this stuff from the rooftops if I could. And we partnered with a development company, and we helped create online documents through our website called Guider. And what it is it will make estate planning open to anyone 18 years and on. Basic documents are your wills, your healthcare proxy, and your powers of attorney. We believe at the Estate Planning Law Center that everyone needs those documents. So yes, people my age and younger, okay, well, why do I have to go meet with a lawyer? Lawyers can be stuffy, they can be, expensive. Mm-hmm. I've heard it all. I work for attorneys. I think my attorneys are wonderful. We have fun at the office. But yet at the same time, we now make it easier so that if you have time at 10 o'clock at night, you can go to our website, click the button, and you're drafting your documents. We like to say it is your plan, your attorney, your way.
All right. So, you talk about lawyers being expensive. typically they bill by the hour. What's the average range for this kind of service? Do you bill by the hour? How does this work?
So our office does not bill by the hour. Our attorneys are all flat fees. So whatever you come in, and we have a whole process that you have to come in. You don't just come in and meet with an attorney. Our process at the law firm is you call us, hey, I'm interested in estate planning. The first step that everyone goes through in our office is you come to a workshop. We are very big on, not only are we innovating with the new online documents that we have to offer, we also want to educate. So one of my roles in the law firm is to educate. So we host weekly workshops where you learn all of the facets of estate planning, everything from what does it mean to have a power of attorney all the way through what do you mean I can protect if my loved ones need to go into assisted living or a nursing home, things like that. So start with a workshop and then you move into a meeting with the attorneys where we find out, okay, Kari, what do you need? We have 5 attorneys at our office that all meet with clients. And I like to say the first meeting is really helping you have the tough conversations. So you have an 18-year-old going off to high school. What's that like? I mean, that's huge. I mean, it's a huge milestone.
I'm trying not to think about it too much. I'm trying to just take it one day at a time. Right now, my biggest problem is I can't find his 9th grade photographs. They're lost somewhere in my house. And I'm stressing about that issue so I don't have to worry about him going off and all those other what ifs.
Okay. So find the photos, and then you can come talk to us. Or just log into our website, and you can complete a plan for your son. Who do you want to appoint if if it's going to be you? And then here's the thing. I always ask people, well, what's your backup plan to your backup plan? So yes, you want it to be you that's helping make those decisions. Well, what happens if something happens to you?
Or what happens if you're in an accident together?
Exactly. So who's stepping up to the plate? I have all of these different analogies. I've been doing this now. I've been with the Estate Planning Law Center for 8 years, and I've started at the ground level answering the phones, and I've worked my way up to, now managing the operations of what the lawyers are doing, what the team is doing, for exactly that, to help our team have the tough conversations. Like you said, nobody wants to talk about death and dying. Nobody wants to talk about what happens after I die, and we get it. And yet, you need to plan for it. And what does that plan consist of is up to you. You are the director of your plan or your rule book. We call it a family rule book. So what do you want your rules to be? Okay, you need to create a will. Who's your executor? If they're unable to act, who's acting on their behalf? I know some people haven't been traveling all that often because of the pandemic, but now we're getting back out there. And, the flight attendants come on and they have the secure your oxygen mask before anyone else. That's exactly what estate planning does. Your plan is your oxygen mask so that, okay, now that I have my stuff in place, who's next? Which would be, your son getting ready to go off to college.
Yeah. So tell me about, for somebody who is intimidated, they don't want to think about these things. You say you start off with a workshop. What do those workshops look like? Give somebody, a little bit of background so they're comfortable going into this situation.
Yeah.
Not nervous to kind of sit down.
And there's no reason to be nervous. So the number one thing I tell everyone is estate planning has absolutely nothing to do with how much money you have. It doesn't matter if you have $100,000 or $100 million. It all just depends on what is right for you and what you want to accomplish after you pass away. So the workshop is I think they're fun, but that's because I host them. So you just come in, it's a group, so there's other people there that have same, if not different questions than you. We work
How often do you host these?
Once a week.
Okay.
Once a week. And you call our office and reserve the seats. Right now, we are so glad to be doing them back in person because during the pandemic last year, we were offering them all virtual. And it's just,
are you offering any virtual options still?
We still offer the virtual options. We also have a recorded option. We are so passionate about getting the community educated on estate planning.
Yeah, I think especially with this topic, some people might even be more comfortable being in their homes and thinking about these kind of issues.
So we've recorded it. We have the live virtual sessions. We have the live in the room sessions. And again, it's just I walk the attendees through. Here's what estate planning is. I'm not talking anything. I don't use any legal terms. Yes, healthcare practice power of attorney, will, revocable, irrevocable. Yes, I just don't talk like a lawyer. So I love my attorneys, but they say in 15 words what the rest of us can say in like 6. So,
because they charge by the minute, so they want to elaborate a little bit more.
Exactly. They love to elaborate. And again, it's not an intimidating, We invite you into our office. We'll greet you at the door with a cup of coffee. We brew Utica roast, so we have all different kinds of flavors. And then, we bring you into the conference room to meet with the attorney, and the attorney's really going to ask questions around what it is that you want your plan to accomplish. And
so what are like the top 3 things that you really should be thinking about?
Who gets your stuff after you pass away, and how do you want them to get it? So all wills in New York State have to be probated. So you're at the government's mercy on their process on how things work. So if you have a trust or something, you create the rules of who do you want to get, your diamond ring, the savings account. Are you splitting the money? Who gets the house? These are all questions that get answered inside of your documents so that when you pass away, it's all out there in black and white. I can tell you a personal story.
Yeah.
So I grew up, born and raised in Utica, chose to make the rest of my life here. I come from a big Italian family who I love and adore, but they can be crazy sometimes. So every Sunday.
I think a lot of Italians would agree with you.
Yes. And I love them. I love them. And every Sunday we go to Nani and Poppy's house for Sunday dinner. And the head of the table was my Poppy, who I like to think I was the favorite grandchild.
We all are, aren't we?
I like to think so. And at one point, my nanny wrote it in a birthday card, so now I have written proof. And so, unfortunately, he was diagnosed with mesothelioma, which is asbestos cancer. And he lived 15 months the day of his diagnosis. And when he died, he had no estate planning. And it left my grandmother, who was mourning the loss of him that she was married to for 40-something years. And then it left my mom and her 3 siblings to say, okay, well, what's next?
Yeah.
And it led to arguments. It led to no one speaking to each other for a few years. And then, I started working at the Estate Planning Law Center. And I said, okay, I'm starting to realize I'm going to be the kid that steps up the next in line to say, okay, how's everybody else taken care of?
Somebody's got to be the peacemaker, the peacekeeper.
Yes. And that is literally the role that I've taken on, is just the peacekeeper, and how do you make it work for everybody? So we got Nani in to do the plan, and unfortunately Nani passed away in November 29th of 2020. She lived 20 years, though. After my grandfather passed away, we took her everywhere, and she I like to say she lived life on her own terms, so she went out on her own terms. And her story was very different because she had a plan, she had a trust in place. Her 4 siblings were able to come into the office, sit down with the attorneys. There was no fighting, there's no arguing. They still get together for Sunday dinners. And we're able to carry on those traditions without this weighing on us to say, okay, well, what was it that mom wanted?
Yeah.
Or what is it that dad wanted? I tell people all the time, your kids want to know what you want to have happen.
Yeah, it's a little easier when you're not faced with the situation and all the emotions surrounding it.
It gets easier, it does. And the thing is, too, is that it gives, what I hear the most from our clients is, it's given me the peace of mind to know it's taken care of. And it's one less thing on the to-do list.
Yeah.
But again, it's always better to pre-plan. And sometimes we see people that are just in crisis. Hey, mom fell, she broke her hip, she's going into a nursing home. What do I do? Okay, well, come on in. We do this all the time. We're going to walk you through it. And I'm just excited that we've now broken into a whole different arena with the online documents, because it gives you a sense of doing the plan when you want, when it's convenient for you, with what you want in it, at your leisure, and yet it's like the attorneys behind the scenes making sure that what you're putting in there will get you the results that you want.
Yeah, so walk us through how that works. It's called Guider.
Yeah, so it's called Guider. So it's Guider powered by the Estate Planning Law Center. So you go to eplawcenter.com and you'll see there's a purple button there. You click on it and it'll take you to a landing page that explains what a will is, a healthcare proxy power of attorney, and then you just click Get Started and you're on your own. Meaning you're picking, do you just want a will? Do you want a healthcare proxy power of attorney? Do you want the bundle? What does it look like?
So once you fill out those documents,
Once you fill out those documents, a lawyer will review those documents, and you can either choose to come into the office to complete the signing, or you can sign on your own. And there's a very detailed list of instructions that you have to follow, because we want to make sure that it gets notarized, it gets witnessed, and it gets signed the right way.
Very cool, very easy, like hands off. Yeah.
Very hands off. And then if you need something more, so some people will say to me, well, I think I need more than that. Okay, well, then come into a workshop, learn about all of the different facets of estate planning, and then you can decide how you want to move forward.
So do you have to be a client to come to a workshop?
No,
or
anyone. It's open to anyone. You just have to call and reserve your seats.
Okay, very interesting.
Yeah.
So a little bit about you. Your background is in education.
Yes.
And you kind of ended up here through a little different path.
Yeah, so
But you're still involved in education.
That's what I like to think. So like I said, born and raised in Utica, went to Proctor High School. Shout out to the class of 2004. And then I went on to get my undergraduate in history from SUNY Oneonta and got my master's in education. I wanted to be a teacher. Realized that at the time I came out of school, things weren't lining up, and so I took a job that was supposed to be like intern, or the intern.
Something to make money.
Something to make money.
Get by.
What am I doing? And then I'd go back to teaching, and I fell in love with what we were doing at the law firm. I started in client services, answering the phones, and spending 20 minutes with people on the phone that reminded me of my parents or my aunts or even my grandparents. There's still clients that come in today that I say to the girls up front, I'm like, I want to know when so-and-so comes in because I want to say hello. So now I teach the workshops. I help mentor and lead my team to make sure that the attorneys are doing what they need to do, the team's getting the work through, so the clients can have the best experience they can. Because at the end of the day, our tagline is it's all about family, because ultimately, because we get to know you so well, when you walk in, we'll know you, by face and name, and we'll know what the kids are doing, the grandkids are doing.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
So, Estate Planning Law Center, locally owned, locally run, but you have a national presence.
Yes.
So, tell us a little bit about, how, business-wise, not just the law, but the practice, owning a law firm is a business. How the Planning Center has leveled up a little bit to have some national presence.
Yeah. So Dave Zampano, who is Dave Zampano, is the owner, lawyer or attorney of the Estate Planning Law Center. He's been so passionate about it. He actually got started nationally in the Medicaid arena by creating the IPUG Trust. It's the Irrevocable Pure Grantor Trust. So he stepped out in the national limelight to say, okay, you can protect assets to go into a nursing home, which then led to creating the national organization called Lawyers with Purpose, that we are the living lab for attorneys across the country that follow our systems and processes to ultimately manage their practice efficiently, effectively, and profitably. Because again, owning a business and running a law firm are the same thing. A law firm is a business. Yeah. And so that's kind of how we leveled up. And Dave is across the country training attorneys on exactly what we do: estate planning, asset protection, and after death.
Yeah, I like that you said lawyers with purpose.
Yes.
I know that, we've talked a little bit that, you guys are a very charitable company, and that you have some passions that, you like to give back to the community. What organizations does your...
Yeah, so we're involved in so many. So the most recent was as of yesterday we attended the American Heart Association Women Go Red, which is a huge...
I'm still wearing my red from yesterday.
Yes, I love it. And, believe it or not, there's more women in our office than there are men. And so it's just something that hits close to home. We've had some team members that have had people affected by heart disease and whatnot. So that's super passionate about that. We work closely with the Abraham House and hospice, as well as... Dave has a national, or the Dave and Christine Zampano Family Fund that he donates to different children organizations across the community, and Relay for Life. I mean, we've been involved in Toys for Tots.
One of the best things about living in this community is that it's so giving.
We love giving back, and you'll see some of us out there. So I sit on the Mohawk Valley Performing Arts Board, ran for school board twice. Didn't get anywhere with that. Realized, okay, tried it, won't do it again, and things like that. So I love being out in the community. I love what Utica and the surrounding areas really bring to it. And we see clients as far as Cazenovia and as far as Albany that come to us for different reasons, all because they want to. How do I protect my stuff? Yeah. That's the title of the workshop: How to Protect My Stuff in 3 Easy Steps.
My stuff, yeah.
Because you never know, because stuff could be everywhere.
Absolutely.
And so we help you kind of figure out where it goes and who gets it next and all that fun stuff.
Yeah. So anything else that you want to touch upon that we haven't covered? I feel like, we've talked a little bit. Hopefully people are more comfortable reaching out if this isn't something that you've, thought about yet or felt that you've needed to do. Hopefully some of these examples show you why you need to do these things, even if you're, on the younger end of the age scale.
Yeah, and I do think we covered everything. And again, we're here to help the community. We want you to call with your questions. We want you to be able to come into a workshop. And then at the same time, using your example that you started off with, if your seniors are getting ready to graduate, know that you can send them off with an extra layer of protection with having a healthcare proxy and a power of attorney.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and if you're still unsure, they have workshops available every week. You can reserve your seat and get out there and learn a little bit more and take that next step for you and your loved ones.
Yes.
Yeah, so thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, before we wrap up, I want to, kind of talk about a couple of things that we have going on at the Chamber. I kind of covered a whole bunch of list of things very quickly at the beginning of the episode because I did want to get here and talk with Bree. But we have some great things going on. We are having our first business after hours of 2021. People are so excited to get out there, get networking again. We will be at the Utica Zoo on June 29th. And that is hosted by Fitzgerald, DePietro, and Wonus. They are the presenting sponsor for the zoo for that event. Registration's now available for that. You can sign up on our website. It's a great night to get out there. If you haven't been to the zoo in a while, it's outside, very, COVID friendly. So if you're still a little nervous, we'll be outside there at the zoo. Starting tomorrow, we have registration for our Catalyst scavenger hunt. So our Catalyst Young Professionals group is doing their first event next. That'll be July 7th. Registration starts tomorrow. It's $20 for a team of up to 4 people. We'll be all over the city. A lot of really cool clues about different businesses, organizations, venues, and then we'll be meeting up at Woodland to announce prizes. So get registered for that event. That's something new, and we're really excited about that. The group is having so much fun planning it. And then lastly, the Choo Choo. We only have 3 team slots available. So if you want to get on that train, get in on it now. It's our 20th anniversary. It's such a fun event. We take the Adirondack Railroad up to Thundera. We golf up there for the day and then take the train back. So it's a whole day of networking, golf, fun, food, really making those business connections. So lots of things for you to do. We hope to see you soon. Next, we'll be back here in 2 weeks with Dr. Kunda from Primary Urgent Care. We'll be speaking about, some additional health needs. We did a ribbon cutting at Primary Urgent Care yesterday. Great turnout for that. They're celebrating their 5-year anniversary as well, so congratulations to them. But we'll be back here in 2 weeks, and that will be my last episode until the fall. So we'll be wrapping up kind of our first season here, and then we'll be rejoining in the fall. So if you're interested in being a guest in the fall, please reach out. Everything can be found on our website, www.greaterutica.chamber.org. It's been a fantastic day here. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you all in 2 weeks. Take care.